And now yoga head to toe. Mark Tully meets the great yoga guru B.K.S. Iyengar, known to his pupils simply as Guruji.
Guruji,
Yes.
how long are you going to stand on your head for?
Well, I may say about 15 minutes.
And you're speaking without any breathlessness or anything like that at
My
all?
friend, as natural as others are on their feet.
What is the particular advantage of standing on your head like this? What does that
Yeah.
do? Yeah.
I make my brain cool, and that I enjoy.
I would get very hot indeed if I was doing that myself. You get cool.
Because I know exactly which spot I have to keep it to feel the coolness.
Guruji at 80, lighter on his head than I am on my feet, and fit as a fiddle. But amazingly, as a child, he was sickly.
I never thought that I would have health in my life. After the influenza, then I developed malaria. After developing malaria, I was laid up with 21 days typhoid fever. Then the doctors examined and found out that I am having tuberculosis to the lungs. That frightened me a little, saying that probably I may be a drag in the life, better commit suicide rather than living.
Medicine wasn't very advanced in those days, but Guruji did have a brother-in-law who taught yoga.
I never took anything except yoga because there was no medicine available in those days. So I'm grateful to him for at least having put the seed of yoga into me. And then he told me to develop into a sapling.
This was your destiny in a way.
Yes, because when I started yoga, I could not even bend my back because I was on bed for years together. It was like a log of wood. So this suffering, illness, is also probably a destiny for me to find a means. So yoga came as a means. And it's a destiny that played with me, and it is the destiny which brought me to Pune to teach yoga. Now all of you, stand in that white line, join your feet together, and keep all the bottom mounts of your feet, the inner heel, the inner sole, touching the floor, and extend the knuckles of the toes towards me.
Yoga wasn't very fashionable when Guruji set out, and he wasn't making much money, so he staved off the efforts of his family to get him married. But at 24, he couldn't hold out any longer. Two of his children, Geeta and Prasant, teach in this institute.
We were 6 children, we had only 2 rooms, and 1 room will be for practice and teaching, so all the time that room would be closed. As far as father was concerned, he was right from the beginning very much dedicated to yoga, and that's how a great man should be. And mother took the total care of family affairs.
She used to see him practicing and putting all the efforts to achieve something, master something. So there was a constant sort of struggle. He never gave up anything. And that she respected definitely, that here is a man who really wants to do something and know something. And that perhaps she understood.
There's a bust of Guruji's wife Ramamani by the gate of this institute. As so often happens with arranged marriages, they were a devoted couple. But sadly, Ramamani died the day after the foundation stone of this institute was laid. She was only 45, and Guruji has called the institute after her. Students come here from all over the world, but B.K.S. Iyengar might have been unknown outside this city of Pune if it hadn't been for some of his enthusiastic supporters. They recommended him to the great violinist Yehudi Menuhin, who was looking for a teacher of yoga.
They said, you have got only 5 minutes time. I said, what? I just laughed. I said, in 5 minutes, what can I do to this man? It's impossible. Even hello, hello will take away 1 minute. And this 5 minutes is valueless. I said, I'm sorry. I don't want to be a ridiculous person in front of him. I waited. Then I knocked on the door, no sound. Then like a true Indian, I went inside the house. And I saw each room. Nobody were there, no servant, nothing. Then in one room, I saw him on bed. So I knocked on the door and woke him up. I said, Mr. Menuhin, you have called me from Pune, I'm here. I waited for half an hour, and what is this, you are in bed? So it was a shock to him. For in Indians it is not a shock. But for him it was a shock, that going into the private chamber and waking him up. Then he said, Mr. Iyengar, this is my life. I get exhausted, I can't. Even though I sleep, I never recover. and I'm really tired. Then I saw him rubbing his eyes, he's so innocent and a simple man, though with all his greatness. So I told him, all right, would you like to experience what true relaxation is? He said yes. Then in 1 minute, he started snoring. And all the VIPs were waiting because my time is over.
Who is this man who's gone in there?
Yes. And the door was open, it was not closed. They were all looking, they were saying, like this, wake him up, wake him up.
Wake him up, yes.
I said, no, I used to say in my head like that, because if I talk, he may get up. I said, no, nothing doing. 45 minutes he slept. The moment his eyeballs moved, then I told him, lots of people are waiting, sir, in a queue there. My 5 minutes have taken 40 minutes. So excuse me, I go. He said, you and I have not talked even, and now you are going. I said, that was the time, 6. He said, I'm sorry, I have to talk to you. So I taught him 3 days in Bombay, and the 4th day was a concert. And he said, after years, this is the first time that I played the concert so well.
The extraordinary thing about yoga is its frugality, its economy, and its simplicity. You need nothing more than quiet and a few square yards of flat space. There are few great teachers, and I would count Mr. Iyengar as one of the great teachers in any field.
Menuhin persuaded Guruji to come to London, but not everyone welcomed him.
The moment I got in, I had a shock. They said, we don't allow Indians to be in this hotel. And because Menuhin was their patron, they could not say no to me. So they kept me, and they said, you cannot come to the breakfast table, you cannot have lunch with the other people, whatever you want, you will supply to you in your room.
Good heavens.
So I had to take my food in my room. They used to supply me one vegetable, one bread, and all those things, that's all. And even coffee, they said, nothing. You have to only take everything in your room, not to appear in the club. Then I suggested that I should have a class for the local people. So there were only 3 students when I opened yoga for the public.
My name's Angela Maris. I was one of Mr. Iyengar's first pupils in London.
My name is Diana Clifton. I went along for the first class, just 3 of us in it. My husband dropped me there and sat outside, and he said to me, if there's any trouble, wave the handkerchief out of the window and I'll come. That was the feeling, because we didn't know any Indians. They were the first Indians I ever met. So we started.
We only had him for a fortnight each year. After he went back the first year, of course, we were all mad keen to have him back again. We used to pay £0.50 a week for practicing together. We thought we'd save up enough to pay his fare.
And he came again the following year. Now we were in trouble, because he looked at us and he said, you told me you'd been practicing, I don't see any improvement. And he was slapping us. Because his idea at that time was not to be too lavish with praise. He thought that if he praised people, they'd get lazy. So instead of praise, we got a few sort of kicks and slaps and knocks. B.K.S. Iyengar, his initials, we started to call him Bang, Kick and Slap Iyengar. But, of course, we began to feel so fit.
Some people have criticized you for saying that, in a sense, your yoga is too harsh.
Sir, yoga is a disciplinary subject. It cannot be done casually. So a casual attempt only gives casual understanding and casual effect. I'm an intensive practitioner, I'm an intensive teacher. That intensity of my approach makes the person who is dull become sharper.
This intense discipline gives Guruji remarkable control over his mind and body.
Even my skin, the heat will vibrate about 1 inch above my palm. Now, for example, you feel nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Yes. Just let me do it again, Guruji.
Okay. Now you don't feel anything.
Nothing.
Now say.
Yes, you do.
It is hitting.
Definitely, yes.
And that is my yogic practice. The world is in stress, strain and speed. The stress is so much. The nerves get blocked, the brain gets blocked, If a cup is full, you search for another cup. If the cup is empty, it is full. So I have to make the brain empty every now and then for the people so that the stress is not felt.
To achieve this, you have to hold these poses for several minutes, and that's not at all easy for most of us. So to help us, Guruji's designed a whole lot of equipment. There are ropes here and back arches and weights, which make this place look really more like a gym than a yoga studio. Guruji,
Yes.
I got these wretched ankles. I broke them about 30 years ago now, and they're still giving me jip.
Touch the edge. Look at that.
Back,
Now touch that the edge.
yes.
No, without turning the foot.
Without turning the foot, I can't do it now.
I'll tell you. I'll keep it right. Now come on. Don't shake here. Now move. Without lifting, can you?
It's never gone that far before.
Huh?
It's never gone that far before. Normally I would have to do it like that, you see.
Hey, bring a rope. Little.
Now I've got a rope put around my heel.
And now we can stretch out, sir. You will feel the difference now.
Yes. Gosh, now this is the rope's now being tied around my ankle. I get a big sense of pressure in the ankle. As well.
Yes, right. Because the ankle is out.
Yes.
So I have to put the ankle in its position. Because it is a long-standing problem, that is.
1972.
And now can you see now? Because that swelling shows that it is not a new one.
I'm worried I won't have the patience to keep up with Guruji's exercises. But these people here in this medical class, they come regularly, and they achieve staggering results.
Aye. Good.
Have you been to many doctors?
Many doctors.
And what did they say to you?
They said there's no cure.
And then you came to Guruji.
Yeah, and I got cured.
If you had seen about 3 months ago, you would have known. You couldn't even walk.
Really?
The moment I lost my temper, she started improving.
She's smiling very broadly when you lost your temper.
He
Say-
started me to walk again. So I have to smile.
Yes, absolutely. Have doctors objected to your treating people and said that you don't know how to do it, you're not medically qualified, that sort of thing?
You are right, but fortunately, all the patients who have come to me were recommended by the doctors. When they fail, they say, try this man. So that confidence I have created in the medical field that yoga has a tremendous effect without ill effect. And so far in my life, I have not injured anyone and I have not sent anyone disappointed.
Yeah, bone motor. Under left. Into the body. Set the body. Press your head and you get a good action. Okay?
Okay.
The more it goes down, the better.
Yes.
I'm Nivedita Joshi, and by profession I'm a microbiologist. I was completely bedridden,
And for how long were you bedridden?
almost 8 years.
8
and
years?
I was suffering since last 12 years. And my state was I couldn't lift a single newspaper. I was totally depressed. I couldn't write for 1 whole year. I was at the verge of committing suicide. So what happened after 12 days? He asked me to do full arm balance. It's a handstand.
A handstand?
Yeah.
That sounds a rather
So when he
ferocious
asked
thing.
me to do that, I said, Guruji, I can't. He looked at me and said, you can't? Why can't you? You have to do it. I said, but you know I can't lift a newspaper. He said, don't argue with me. Just go ahead. And I could do it only for 2 seconds, but I could. And the feeling that I can do it, believe me, gave me my confidence back, which I had lost for 12 years. I was a classical dancer. I can dance again. He is like God to me, because my mother has given me birth, but the new life is given by Guruji.
I remember him saying once, when a pupil and teacher first meet, the teacher is like the cat with the kitten, picks it up by the scruff of the neck, slaps it round the face, throws it about. And then the next stage, it's like the mother monkey with her baby, and she holds the baby to her heart. That's the second stage. But the third stage is like two fishes swimming eye to eye.
This is known as sago, which is a Mysorean dish now. Vegetables and a little bit of masala, they call it.
Guruji is a humble man. He lives an austere life and his family fare is simple.
That is yogurt, liquid ice, and they have put sugar, cardamom, that's all.
What is your personal diet then?
My personal diet is I take yogurt and sometimes I may take a little fruit, a vegetable, a chapati and the yogurt. And if I take rice, I don't take chapati. And that's all my food.
But is this diet of yours standard? Do you prescribe it for everyone?
If I go on telling that you have to eat this food and that food, you have to have the fruits, you have to have milk, what about poor people in our country who cannot even get a nourished food? And secondly, I came from a very poor family. When I had no food, I practiced. Now a man who was living even in tap water for days, having undergone yogic practice without nourishment, how can I tell people that you have to eat this, you have to, then yoga is not meant for all, it is meant only for rich people who can afford good food, good nourishment. Remain quiet. Silence in silence. Go deep inside so that the silence in silence is experienced. In that state, there is an auspiciousness free from prejudices of the past or the future. And that's the time for us to pay respects to Patanjali, the father of yoga, so that we get his blessings for our good practices.
Guruji's long, flowing grey hair is pulled back from his broad forehead. His eyes are closed in concentration under a pair of magnificent bushy eyebrows. Chanting the sacred sound Om at the start of the class reminds these students here that yoga isn't just about the body.
Yogena chittasya padena vacham.
Now Guruji invokes the sage Patanjali. Some say he lived as long ago as 500 years before Christ. Patanjali's sutras or sayings cover not just bodily health, but moral and spiritual well-being too.
Yopakarotam pravaram muninam. I'm doing this pose.
Now Guruji is doing an incredible back bend. His head's on the ground, it's between his two bent arms. His back's arched, and the other end of his body is only supported by his left foot. His right leg is pointing straight up towards the ceiling. He must be concentrating incredibly hard to prevent him toppling over.
Now you observe how I stretch my intelligence from the head to the foot and from the foot to the head, so that the physical force and the mental force meet and bring oneness between body, mind and soul.
Now Guruji is literally flipped back onto his feet.
So that is my meditation. Because my intelligence did not waver at all. So I was in the present, my body was in the present, my physical energy was in the present, my mental energy was in the present, my intellectual energy was in the present, so the self is in the present.
So for you there is no need for the ordinary form of meditation?
No. Look at my eyes. I am aggressive. Follow? I told you my eyebrows are always problem for you.
You're looking quite fierce.
Certainly. Yes. Now look at the pupil of the eye.
Shining a lot.
Now what happened?
It's less shiny.
Relax.
Relax.
So my brain is relaxed. That is meditation.
So I only want to meet you after meditation. Unlike the headquarters of most internationally famous gurus, the headquarters of the Iyengar Institute is really a very modest building. It's 8-sided, it's set in a small garden, and on the top there's a shrine to the monkey god Hanuman.
This has 3 stories. Body, first floor. The second where the practices are done is mind. And the top one is self. On the top of that is Hanuman, that you become one with God.
And has Hanuman presided over the building very successfully?
Up to now, 25 years, he has successfully held on. Though I had a lot of problems with this building.
Have you? What problems do you have?
Because the architect, when he designed, he thought when the rains come, the water will just flow off. But instead of flowing out, it started flowing in. And our library 2-3 times were like a swimming pool. So we had to pump out water. So I had a lot of problems, but still Hanuman has saved this building.
So can we go up and see Hanuman?
Yes.
These steps up to Hanuman are really rather steep, aren't they?
My friend, there are 88 steps. So naturally, you find it difficult to climb at one stretch. I used to climb myself on the roof to go to Hanuman in the
Without any
early
steps at
days.
all?
There were no steps at all.
How did you do that?
Well, I practice yoga, so it's not difficult for me to climb climb to the top.
But so you could have been a burglar as well.
Who knows? Yeah, when I'm an expert in yoga, if I had taken that field, probably I would have become an expert too. But these 88 steps also represents the 8 aspects of yoga: the ethical discipline, moral discipline, physical discipline, physiological discipline, mental discipline, intellectual discipline, egoistic, cult to culturate, and then to experience the spiritual tranquility, not the mental tranquility.
Well, we've made it somehow, Guruji. No, you're not out of breath, but I don't think I'm exactly. Anyhow, here we are.
This is the idol of Hanuman. You may not believe the weight of this Hanuman is 3 tons.
3 tons. He's ochre coloured.
Yes.
He's monkey god, of course. Some would say not entirely unlike your face. He's carrying his big club because he's a mighty warrior. And he's looking quite severely out over Pune.
Yes. I have kept him on the top so that the person who enters surrenders his head, salutes the Lord to his feet. That's why he's on the roof of the house. And secondly, there is a purity in this place because it is not touched by people.
Even a building as modest as this must cost a lot to keep up. How much do you charge your students?
My charges are very nominal because I want yoga to go from the poor to the rich.
And no one is turned away who comes for treatment?
I don't turn them out because I treat all without any differentiation. Some may not like it because they want 5-star treatment, which I cannot give in my life.
So they turn themselves out?
Otherwise, I don't turn anybody out.
Now, there are lots of different trophies which you've won, awards which you've been given, and there's an interesting contrast here because there you are, over there, what aged about 50, 60?
Yes, 60.
And you're looking very severe there with your haircut and you're looking at... Now there's a cartoon of you, looking much more like you are nowadays, very jolly, long hair and your feet crossed and everything. Has there been a big change in you in those years?
Yes, because when I was very young, the subject was unknown, so I had to fight, not only hand to mouth for filling my stomach, but at the same time, the yoga was not known at all. So this was working in my mind how I should present yoga. So naturally, I was restless and serious for years. When once it started establishing, I became gay.
Guruji is a happy man, and why not? After all, his Iyengar Yoga is practiced in 42 countries, his books have been translated into 13 languages, and 700 students from all around the world gathered here to celebrate his 80th birthday. He hasn't bothered to name a successor. He says that's in the hands of God.
I came with an empty hand. Today it has grown to such an extent. So I should not feel sorry if something happens. It is a growing subject, and I'm sure that it is going to grow for several centuries. So I may become a legendary figure after 100 years or so, because my yoga may not die at all, because there is full of life. Life is dynamic, and I've changed yoga, a static yoga, into a dynamic yoga. So I say that it will improve. I've got about nearly 5,000 to 6,000 yoga teachers. I've got teachers who are not only direct pupils of mine, even great-grandchildren of my method are also yoga teachers in the West. So it is going on. Generations of generations, they are doing it. Even if you see in Pune, I've got 4th generations students coming still. And I feel that my method of yoga can never die. And that's why I'm happy.
And no wonder Guruji's happy. He's already got a place for himself in heaven.
How did it come that a star was named after you?
Well, I do not know how it came, but one of my students sent me a note saying the registrar of the star registration of Washington have named one star in your name, as you are the only person in the field of yoga who has reached that level. So humorously I say that I think if the God calls me, he has already given a boat for me where I can practice yoga.
So when the time comes, we'll I think of you up there.
Yes, I may meet you.
Doing your yoga. Yes, we may all come up there and do yoga with you.
B.K.S. Iyengar was talking to Mark Tully in Pune. The producer was Vanessa Harrison.